Hello, Internet. Gino, that Pinguino Greco here again with another episode of Deep Listens, and today is a very special punishment episode of Deep Listens.
Caca. Gobble, 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 gobble.
So those noises you hear are because today we are going to be discussing Hatoful Boyfriend.
One of the greatest games ever made.
So I'm joined by Chris, ZombiePie Redacted.
Hey, everyone. We're not talking about Final Fantasy. We're talking about a game that I like. Gino despises. I don't think I despise it. It's been a long time since you and I recorded a podcast where we had two disparate opinions about a video game.
Yes, we tend to be similar in our distaste for things and taste for things. This game, I think, is bad.
Except Nekopara.
In that.
Hey, Gino. Hey, what? I forgot to tell you. Nekopara Volume 4 was recently announced.
Oh, shit. Is this the incest one?
Yeah, it's going to be the incest episode.
Oh, great. So, listeners...
I still really like Riven. You disliked Riven to a degree that kind of surprised me.
I respect its game. I respect its hustle. But I do not enjoy playing it at all.
Yeah, well, I guess it's a good thing that we stopped doing the adventure game podcasts. We should start that back up.
I'll be having one about the Magic School Bus in the not too distant future, I hope.
Ooh.
And that's basically an adventure game that teaches you things about yourself and the ocean.
But so we're going to talk a little bit about how So, quick fun fact. This was released to English audiences on Steam and many other media. I think eventually it hit Xbox Live Arcade and PSN. When it first released, I played it on, I want to say, the Xbox or the iPad or something like that. It wasn't like the PC. And had it not been for the blood pact that you forced me into for Final Fantasy VIII, Hatoful Boyfriend probably would have been my game of the year for 2015.
Well, that's a shame.
It was only trumped by Final Fantasy VIII.
That's fair. I think that's a fair stance. I think Final Fantasy VIII is a better game than Hatoful Boyfriend. And Hatoful Boyfriend is it's really more of a commentary than it is a game.
It's probably one of the most entertaining commentaries and one of the greatest video game backstories in game history. But for most people, when you boot up Hatoful Boyfriend, it's this kind of dumb visual novel about dating pigeons. And It is quite stupid.
So why don't we, just before we get into the pigeon dating and whether or not human females should fuck birds, let's go ahead and just give... First, remember, if you want to get in touch with the show, you can do so at DeepListensPod on Twitter or at ThatPinguino on Twitter, deeplistens.libsyn.com. We have comment sections, and deeplistenspodcast@gmail.com. Now, the reason we don't have any feedback today, but if you want to be the feedback, go ahead and send it to
New Jersey for Life fan.
Yeah,
NJ for Life.
That's true, man. The Nets are good this year.
The Nets are good, man. Where are you, man?
They're entertaining.
Come back.
What
They're
happened?
actually not terrible. They're better than the Knicks.
They are. I mean, that's not hard to do, but they're decent.
Where's the deep, depressed sigh from you, Gino, whenever I make a reference about the Knicks?
To feel sadness, you must have felt something else first. You can't be disappointed if you have no expectations.
Have you talked to Pete about the 76ers and the current state of their wastefulness?
Yeah, he does not appreciate what happened to get them here, and so he has a hard time enjoying what they are now. He just constantly says they're all going to be hurt forever, and we're never going to have nice things because karma will not allow it for what the Sixers
where does
did.
Pete and you stand with Jahlil Okafor?
I think he's terrible, and he doesn't, and he's here 20 years too late. Especially if he is not going to play any defense ever. I think Pete is maybe even more down on him. I think he should be like a bench post option like Al Jefferson. That's my stance. But we'll see. He's young. He can learn to have skills other than post scoring.
Well, the good news is Joel Embiid is doing decent, and he's working well with Ben Simmons, and that's really all you need.
Yep, he's the best center in the East, and as long as he's healthy, they will be a decent team.
And you've been on the Giannis train.
Yeah, Giannis is awesome. I've watched every Bucks game so far, and watching him score 30 points by just going around people and then through them and then over them is pretty great. Dude's 22, and it makes me feel sad.
It makes you feel sad about yourself?
Yep, you should watch the Bucks. They're really fun right now.
Yeah, I think I told you that I think my most surprisingly good team would probably have to be Memphis. If it turns out that Gasol was basically wasted for 4 years because he was in a bad situation, and this is what he was always capable of, that's kind of depressing, don't you think?
I mean, I think we're learning that if they had just taken grit and grind, like got rid of Zach Randolph and Tony Allen earlier and just replaced them with two generic dudes who could shoot threes, yes, it turns out you might have a better team than this ground and pound. Even though it was really pretty to watch when it worked, it turns out that if you just play like everyone else with one of the best centers in the game and one of the best point guards in the game, you can do very well. And then you don't have to tie yourself in knots trying to negotiate these two ground-bound bigs. Well,
so that's the basketball hot minute? Or
your Kings.
My Kings, they showed a lot of promise. I still think De'Aaron Fox is a legitimately good player. I mean,
I agree.
But they paid $8 million too much for Vince Carter when they should have gone young and play small ball.
Yep.
But then they spent $8 million on Vince Carter and fuck everything.
Yep. Poor Vince Carter. I'm just happy he's still in the league doing stuff.
I also like Bogdanovich. I think people rag on him way too much.
The problem is he can't guard anyone.
Yeah, well, this is a small ball team that doesn't do defense in the first place. They can just do pick and roll.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you concede that you're going to lose a lot of games, that's fine.
And hey, if there's a time for both the Kings and the Knicks to tank, this is the last year to do it.
Yes. Do it now or forever hold your peace.
Or otherwise forever hold your peace, like you said.
So let's just, again, NJ for life, come out. Where are you?
NJ for life. You should be proud of your team. There's a strong possibility that the Brooklyn Nets will make the playoffs.
Yeah, going into Extra Life, I was contemplating like playing the entire Nets season as like a ha-ha goof, but now they're good at basketball and it's not as funny.
I think not just the most surprisingly team, but I think people are now like, holy shit, the Eastern Conference has teams that aren't Cleveland or Boston.
Well, it's more that Cleveland's gotten worse and everyone else has gotten either the same or better.
You could say the same thing about the Western Conference right now.
Yeah, but the Warriors just aren't trying. The Cavaliers just can't. They have problems. The Warriors don't have problems. Their problem is apathy.
Their problem is zero defense and trying to outscore your opponent when you're playing against teams that actually have some semblance of defense.
Yep, but the Warriors can turn it on, and I don't think the Cavs can. So I think let's move on from the NBA as much as I could talk about it.
Birds. I like how your eyes, I know this is an audio podcast, but I want everyone to know that Gino's eyes lit up when he realized that I was going to give him 10, 15 minutes to talk about basketball.
That was nice.
Instead of pigeon fucking.
Yep, and so I feel like we should illuminate for our listeners who do not know why we're talking about Hatoful Boyfriend. We didn't mention it on any of the podcasts recently. No, why would we be talking about this one? Well, it turns out that this podcast was a punishment for me not being able to make one of our shows. I had to bow out, and I said, that's not right. That's not how this works. As penance, I'll play a terrible game with ZP. You pick whichever stupid anime nonsense game you want me to play, and I'll play it. And you said Hatoful Boyfriend, and I said, oh, that's a game I thought about playing. That game seems interesting. And then I played it, and now I'm sad.
Oh,
Now
you're not that
sad.
sad. You actually liked some of what was going for the game. One, I didn't make you play Necopara Volume 2.
Oh, thank goodness. You
I
didn't put me
didn't
on a
make you
government watch list.
play inscrutably terrible 90s era adventure games.
Yeah, I'm going to say that of the dark doors I could have opened, this was one of the least dark.
Yeah, this was actually a legitimately good game with some good ideas that is made better when you learn a little bit about like what went into the game and its horribly hilarious backstory.
So why don't you explain what Hatoful Boyfriend is for the few listeners who do not know what this game is?
Hatoful Boyfriend is a dating visual novel where you are in the post-apocalypse. It's strongly implied it's the post-apocalypse, or actually it's clearly established that it's the post-apocalypse. It's shown. So the apocalypse happened, and there are two factions of people, living creatures left. There are humans, which are just regular. There's human, and there are pigeons. And
lots of birds.
The pigeons have basically become the dominant race in the post-apocalypse. And there's a female girl whom you control. And you go to school because, Japan is, of course, the first country to recover from the post-apocalypse.
Define recover. There seems to be one human female going to an all-bird academy.
Yes.
She lives in a cave on the outskirts of town.
Yes.
Hunter
She basically
gathering.
lives outside. And you start pursuing relationships with the pigeons.
Because that's all you can fuck.
That's all you can fuck is pigeons. Now, for those that don't know, the original Hatoful Boyfriend was created by a doujinshi manga artist called Moa. And it was released for free in 2011. And the best way for me to explain the original version of Hatoful Boyfriend is that it was the Japanese version of Frog Fractions, before Frog Fractions existed. It was created as a joke. It was created to where it was never gated away with money. And it was created by this manga artist who was well known for basically having a South Park-esque sensibility to his humor. And other than a new look and a few additional scenes for the Steam release, it's basically the same game that was released in 2011, except that it has been translated for English audiences, which Hatomoa's other works have been kind of poorly translated for English audiences. Gino and anyone who is a Giant Bomb aficionado may recall when Drew played the llama dating game, Paka Plus.
Oh, that was by the maker of Hatoful Boyfriend?
It was a part of the studio he ended up creating. It's kind of like a doujinshi circle. For those that don't know what doujinshi is, it's a kind of homebrew indie game circle where you basically put no claims to the characters that you create, but you create your game and you release it. And if you want to charge money, you can charge money. And if you don't, you don't. You publish it on the internet and let basically the internet have its way with it.
Huh.
But there's something very special about Hatoful Boyfriend.
Is there?
It crosses kind of this hilarious line from bizarre to uncomfortable, and it jumps between those two lines with a giant grin on its face while saying "na na 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 na" at you.
When does it?
And
so what's the uncomfortable? What's the uncomfortable part for you?
You're fucking pigeons.
Okay. Just making sure. Just wanted to clarify. And what was the other part for you?
It's the bizarre part is that it's attempting to be self-aware, but the audience in which it became popular with was so tone deaf.
Yeah, let's get to the audience reception later.
Intent.
Let's just start with what this is, and then we can get into the meta commentary. I think first things first, this game is the most boilerplate dating sim it could possibly be.
But it's somehow more interactive than Necopara. Give me that.
Well, yes, in that it's interactive at all.
There are choices to make. There are relationships to pursue. There is agency given to the player to pursue the relationships and dateable pigeons that you may want to pursue.
Yes, you can make choices. And Necopara will play itself if you just sit there, and it's almost by design. It's weird. It's almost like they assume you're doing something else rather than having your hands on the keyboard. Whatever. Hatoful Boyfriend expects a little bit more from you than that.
It also engages its players, its audience's metacognition far more than your normal visual novel.
Sure. So when you start the game, I love that there's an option to have anime boy representations of each of the pigeons you meet.
That's one of the best parts of the game.
And that will kind of let you know who these boys are. And then
they my boys.
After that moment, they are pigeons from then on out. They will look like birds. Mm-hmm. So which bird was your first bird to glom onto?
I usually go down the list of easy to hard. I usually start with Ryota.
The boy next door.
Yeah, the boy next door. He's the easiest pigeon to get because all you need to do is
talk to him.
You have to just go out of your way. I mean, you have to go to the three-legged race. You go to the cafeteria. You give the job. When you get a job, you give it to Ryota, and basically you get to fuck him.
He sucked. So
yeah, but like, okay, so here's the important thing that I feel like we need to make very clear. Some of the endings to this game are like an hour. Not even that. There are some endings that you can get in like 50 minutes plus.
Yeah, and if you're speeding through some of the comments and stuff, because a bunch of sequences are the same every single time, then you can easily finish even the longest versions of this game in like 20 to 30 minutes easily.
Sure, absolutely. And it like other visual novels, has a speed up the text to just get to the next scene feature, which is always a great... Like, when a game knows that it shouldn't waste its audience's time or patience, and it includes one of those features, you know it's a quality made game.
Yeah, they know what you're here for. You're not here for the chit chat and the cultural clubs and all that stuff. You're here for the bird fucking. And let's just speed up to that.
Sakuya Label Shirogane. He's the big white pigeon that the back of his ass looks like a feather duster.
Yep.
For those that don't know, he's the first example of a pigeon having two endings. There's the normal ending and then the true ending.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you have to study math in order to get... So you have to... Here's the thing, is Hatoful Boyfriend is kind of a playful parody of sorts. We'll get more into the details later. It's a playful parody of the visual novel format. Usually in these games, especially the visual novel dating games, there will be a character that you pursue a relationship with. The character begins to swoon over you after you study a similar subject or interest or pursue an interest that character has, and you just click the correct responses whenever they ask you a question. So if the broody, gothic-y teenage jackwad talks about if you know band X, you say, yeah, they're my favorite, not, they're pretty lame. And that's the extent of the player agency. What I think people need to realize is each of these characters is a well-established anime and visual novel trope. So you said that Ryota is the
pigeon,
the boy next door. He is. That's exactly what he is.
Every single one of these characters
Sakuya
is just a trope.
Yeah, Sakuya is the
rich kid,
the high and mighty. Eventually, there will be a scene where he's hoisted by his own petard, and there is.
There's the flirty brother of
Nageki is the kind of like depressed, aloof. He's what we call a kodere. He is going to eventually fall in love with you, but he's very cold at first.
And he likes books.
Yeah, he likes books, but yeah, you got to get your intelligence up if you want that pigeon dick. You want that pigeon all up in your biz nasty. Zaki Yuya. He's just the bubbly airhead kind of type, but secretly smart in a lot of ways. Oko-san is the principal. He has the best ending in the game.
When you say principal, that's the pigeon that runs, right? The one that's the most pigeon of pigeons.
Yeah, he's the one where when you turn on I want anime boys, he's the one who's still a pigeon.
Yeah, when you turn it on, it's a pigeon and then a pigeon. It's great.
Yeah, it's Oko-san has the best ending. I'm not sure if you pursued his relationship.
I got the true Oko-san ending.
Oh, you went to the pudding dimension.
I did go to the pudding dimension. This game's dumb.
We have to talk about some of these endings, but we'll go through the characters. Nanaki, who is the artsy kind of, got to talk to him about his beat poetry and shit, and talk about how you're drinking Perrier water to be all health conscious, all up in that. And you have to study math if you want it. He teaches it. But you can still date the teachers. Like, you're a student and you can fuck the teachers.
You can. And there's Shu? Is that the science person?
Shu, yes, the science teacher. He's also a character with two endings. There's the normal ending, and then the true ending. And he's a big old pigeon. He's got a lot of. He's a big fat pigeon. There's Higure Angel, who is when you turn on the anime portrait, you find out that he's basically the most Square Enix character, and that's his whole trope, is that he's a parody of like Japanese role-playing game characters.
Which one is that? Is that the brother?
The one with the blood. He's the one with like the eye patch, like the big red stain on his chest.
No. I'm trying to remember which bird is that. Tell me which bird it is.
It's the gray bird with a red spot on its chest.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah.
There's Koshiba. You can date Koshiba.
What's Koshiba?
So Koshiba is the gym teacher.
What is it?
It's kind of a secret ending.
What kind of bird is it?
It's a finch, like one of those big, puffy, beaked finches.
From here on out, I'm going to need you to tell me exactly what type of bird each of these birds are.
A zami.
That's a sparrow. She's
That's
awesome.
A sparrow? That's not a she.
Azami's the little...
Oh, you're right. Azami is a woman.
Yeah, Azami's a
lady. There's lesbianism here. We have to give them credit.
Well, you can't date her.
Yeah, I know, but you still can pursue a relationship.
Yeah, you can join her biker gang.
There's the bad boys love ending, which is unlocked by completing every main character route. And if you... Oh, God. I've never actually done this. Did you do the BBL ending?
No, I did two endings. I joined a biker gang with Azami, and then I went to the pudding dimension. Those were my two endings that I saw. And then
so you basically did the two best endings in the game. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
I saw the highs, and then I got out of there.
So, because this is a visual novel game, and every visual novel has the whole dynamic of there's actually a secret ending, and one of the worst offenders is the Steins Gate, and basically everything that 5BP makes. I love their games. They like Gino. Eventually, one of these days, I have to show you like good examples of the visual novel format, because Steins Gate is probably one of the better examples of like the visual novel format done right.
I would love to see that, because man, this game is barely a game.
But that, and also Clannad, another visual novel game that a lot of people talk about as good representations of the format, are very guilty of the, did you get all the sparkly glowing orbs in every scene when you had the chance in all those obscure locations? Then you're just going to get the normal ending. The real ending, you have to get all the sparkling orbs.
I'm sorry, you studied a little too much math.
You didn't
not enough
study
art.
the right subject. Do you know how the Persona franchise always has like these inscrutably Byzantine true endings that should be in the fucking main game, but they always decide to make them stupid.
Yeah, that's usually things that you can screw up, and then once you've screwed up, it's like, oh, guess you get the bad ending. You didn't navigate our dialogue tree correctly.
Yeah. Visual novels are fucking nefarious about having the true endings.
Visual novels are just that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so here's the deal. In order to get the true ending, you have to, and I shit you not, you have to do the Bad Boys Love route, which opens up after you've unlocked every ending in the game, and you have to select on the prompt, fulfill the promise. And once you click that, you have to then get every single relationship and ending all over again.
Is that the one that... Wait, which one is that? What is the Bad Boys Love ending? Actually, before we get all this deep into endings and stuff like that, I feel like it's worth mentioning the moment-to-moment gameplay in this game is just you go to school, there's an event, you choose like, am I going to work out or study, or there was a third option.
Do you study math? Do you read? Do you do sciencey shit? Do you get all physical? Yep. Physical.
And then
let's get physical. Let's get into physical. I'm sorry.
It's super clear which of these correspond to which pigeons you can date, and you just do that. And there's a bunch of different scenes that are like very much just ripped out of every single just not JRPG, just like anime trope, just trashy anime tropes, just a whole bunch of them, one after another after another. And then at moments, this game gets real dark, and I like when it's dark. I like when
the hawks kill you.
I like when you go for a run, and then you're running through destroyed Japan, and there's just like shattered skyscrapers. They don't mention what happened. No one wants to talk about it. But you're the last human female, it seems like. You're living on the outskirts of town in a cave, and that's just your existence, and you're just... No one mentions how weird it is. No one talks about... Well, they pick on you because you're a human, but...
And then they realize, oh, wait, she's a woman.
Yeah.
Did you get the hawks to kill you?
No, I didn't get killed.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, I had two endings. I joined a biker gang, and I went to the pudding dimension.
So you didn't lead the pigeon army to, war?
What?
I fucking told you, Gino. There are endings that you did not see. I can't believe you just did too. I'm very disappointed in you, Gino.
I'm very happy.
You know how you talk to me in a condescending tone whenever I make mistakes in Final Fantasy games, and you talk to me as if you're my father?
Yep.
Son, I am disappointed at you.
That's fine. I played as much of this game as I felt I needed to, because that little blurb we just had about what playing this game is, that's it. There's no deeper gameplay or anything like that. You just basically keep doing this as many times as you want to see the endings that you want. That's it. You just follow a guide to get the endings.
I disagree.
Most of the options are very obtuse if you want to get the ending you want to see. It's just, do you want to see this ending? If yes, do the thing, perform the ritual, and then you will go to the pudding dimension. If you perform a different ritual, I assume you fuck the boy next door. I don't know. I didn't do it.
I completely disagree.
How do you disagree? Explain to me.
I feel like not only are the relationships kind of they each surface the author's feelings about these different character tropes and types in general, but they end up serving probably one of the best comedy video games I've played my entire life.
Yeah, but saying that the writing is effective or there's a meta commentary going on does not change the nature of the game itself. Now, you can appreciate it more because those things are of a high quality. Let me put it to you this way. I appreciate this game far more than I would appreciate just a generic dating sim. But the act of playing this game is not very...
It's a generic dating sim, but you can't have those hard swings. You can't have those deep laughs if it's not a visual novel. So let me just tell you what happens if you don't romance any of the pigeons, okay? All right?
Sure.
So the second semester starts, and your character is found on the streets, hacked to pieces by the hawks, and you see your bloody corpse on the street. And then a giant dome descends upon the school, trapping all of the birds inside. And you play Ryota, and you have to solve a murder mystery.
Okay, that's pretty good. I didn't see that.
Yeah.
So that's what happens if you don't fuck anything?
Yeah.
That sounds bad. I don't want that. What are they're hawks and they don't like the regular birds?
Yeah. There are hawks that kill them, and then you take control of Ryota, and you got to solve this shit.
Do you do it? What happens if you
no,
succeed?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's actually probably one of the better endings in the game, but like there's another one where you lead the pigeon army into a war against humans, but you're a human.
Oh, there are other humans?
Yeah, of course there are other humans.
I mean, they kept acting like it was really weird that you were a human.
The last time I felt this amount of affection and familiarity with a cast of fictional characters was Mass Effect 2. And I actually feel like these characters, even though they're dumb tropes, like when the bad shit happens to them, I was like, oh, man.
Yeah, but
God.
I feel like
I want to see you. And like when I pursued a relationship, like I have to also say this, like I know this is going to get a real angry reaction out of you, but I said this on Steam to you a while back. Hatoful Boyfriend has one of the most dynamic and rewarding relationship arcs and relationship systems, far outpacing some of its high-budgeted peers such as Persona or Mass Effect.
I think that this game is well written, but I would like to also say you have a specifically deep affection for anime bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like I'm an audience, and
Yes.
Hatoful Boyfriend targets me, a person who likes anime but also recognizes that it's full of bullshit.
Yeah.
And it embraces the stupidity of anime, and as a result, Hatoful Boyfriend should be applauded as a work of art.
So here's where I'm coming from. I used to watch a good deal of anime, and then I gave up on it when I realized that these same characters were just going to repeat over and over and over again with this, like, yes, the outlandish circumstances will change, but it will be the same characters. Like, these characters will have slightly different backstories, but their personalities, who they end up liking and not liking, like the characters they come into, they are all different versions of the same tropes over and over and over again. Monkey D. Luffy is just Naruto. Naruto is just Goku. They are really similar characters, and they all are cut from the same cloth.
Everything is tied together in this game. Like, all of the characters play off each other. There are certain characters that you won't see unless you pursue different subjects or different topics. Like, you don't get to see the full cast if you just go hard one way or the other way. And all in all, it's fucking amazing. It's a great game. If there's anyone who doesn't want to play it, I think you should still play it, or at the very least find your favorite YouTuber or Let's Player and watch them play it, because every turn, every pivot is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, but
it is absolutely hilarious.
Like I said, I think it's really well written, but my problem with the game is more that it's the old curse of the meta commentary. Because this game, as you explained to me, this game was made to be a commentary on how inane and stupid you can make a dating sim and still have the audience find it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we should probably talk about that. So for those that don't know, like, part of the reason why I really, truly love Hatoful Boyfriend is that it was originally created by this doujinshi circle as a parody or a chastising rebuke against the visual novel format and its rabid fan base. And how oddly specific visual novel fans can be about their subject materials. I mean, you can date mummy girls, or fucking there's the filth that is Nekopara that we constantly are referencing this episode. And the developer wanted to make this dumb game that just constantly reminded you how fucking stupid this entire genre can be.
And literally, hey, you know how tropey our characters are? We could put that trope filling into literally any fucking pastry, and you will suck it down. And so this boy, it's a pigeon this time. The boy next door, with the exact same personality that you've seen 100 times, this time it's a pigeon.
But what makes it even hilarious is how this is probably the video game industry's greatest example of hubris. This guy thought he was making this parody, and then it goes on to be the most popular visual novel on Steam. It becomes a viral sensation, and virtually the audience that they were criticizing, rebuking, became their biggest supporters. And now this guy is stuck making the same goddamn game with none of the commentary, none of the original vision. He's just stuck. He's fucking stuck. He's currently making a game where you date bug people.
It's a Sisyphean torture. And
there's he kind of made like this one last attempt. It's like, guys, I'm trying to insult you. Where the DLC for this game, which is also $10, is the Christmas DLC, where you basically, using your phone, you send text messages to the pigeons that you want to spend Christmas cake time with. And it's literally 15 minutes per pigeon. It's $10 for a 15-minute scene with every single one of the pigeons. And it's very clear. It's like, yeah, you totally wasted your goddamn money on this shit. How do you feel about your life choices?
I love it. I'm sucking it down. Give me more garbage, please.
But also, what kind of you? I feel like you're underselling this game in a lot of ways. Is like how this game is goddamn dark. You are in the apocalypse, and when the game reminds you that you are in the apocalypse, that where birds are running roost, it is raw. It is a raw game.
I keep saying the writing in this game is really good. When I got cornered by a group of punkigeons that were just pigeons with mohawks and leather jackets, it was the best. When I was fighting back to back with a sparrow.
Yeah, that's a reference of all those weird biker animes where like the biker dudes have like 6 feet tall mohawks and chains that inspire Tetsuya Nomura.
Yes. Like, when I see those things, I really enjoy it. The writing is really good. The pigeon dimension, all these different moments I thought were really well written. My central problem and my central critique is, in critiquing this genre, they just made another entry in the genre.
Absolutely not. You cannot make a critique without it being a game. Like, Frog Fractions can't be a critique. Frog Fractions can't be it. Frog Fractions can't be Frog Fractions without that really dumb first level and that text novel that goes on for far longer than it should. Like, you have to embrace the medium. You have to embrace the genre to its fullest.
But this reminds me of the best possible version of Matt Hazard. I don't know if you remember that game.
I do, but I find that is woefully that is a damn red herring. Because
that was a Will Arnett voiced third-person shooter that was supposed to be lampooning video games and third-person shooters, and it's like, oh, isn't it so dumb how the third-person shooters are like this? But in lampooning it, they made another third-person shooter that wasn't very good.
Now the difference there is that Matt Hazard wasn't a good third-person shooter, but Hatoful Boyfriend is a good visual novel.
It is a good visual novel, but the problem is the critique was supposed to say, stop playing visual novels. They're all the same. This is stupid. And by making a good one, they've trapped themselves in hell.
Yeah, and I think that's the best part of the game. Like, this developer is making, like I said, He was a participant in making Pocket Plus, and he's now working on this dating game where you date bug people.
Yeah, but
isn't that funny?
It is very funny, but that's a human life that is now dedicated to making different versions of human dates and name. He's gonna, at some point, he's just gonna be like, yeah, this time you date spoons and forks and other kitchenware.
Oh man!
This time you're at an academy.
The game that Tommy Wiseau always wanted to make.
You're at an academy for utensils, and you got to pick. You know, there's this. Oh, the foreign one is a fork. But there's a Chinese exchange student who's a chopstick, or some. You know, it'll be that, and each character will be a different.
There's already a visual novel where you date anime girls that are tanks.
There are.
There's one where you control Galileo and you date planets in a school.
See, this is the
problem.
And
your teachers are Aristotle and Socrates.
See, this is the problem when the genre is so ridiculous and inbred. Just by making another entry, you cannot be absurd enough to actually lampoon the genre. The fans, that is the only jolt they get, is in a slightly different wrapping for their same tropes. Every single entry in the genre is fan service, is pandering. And that's what's hard. Like, I don't love the genre, and I can see where someone would come in and say, oh, this time I'm going to shake it up. This time they're going to learn that they're playing garbage, and you just can't make it ridiculous enough, it turns out.
Again, if you ever have the chance, Gino, you should select Fulfill a Promise from Long Ago, but you can only do that if you successfully complete 50% of the endings, and just watch the beginning of when you select Fulfill a Promise from Long Ago.
Okay.
Because it's good.
And this game, this is not
Listen, my child,
a problem with
a good game.
This game is good. The problem is they tried to tell people you're wasting your time. Stop, and instead they learned the opposite lesson.
Yeah, I mean, now look at like the current state of the Steam visual novel section, where like half of the games are like just fucking click to win games. The other half are games kind of like Nekopara, which are sanitized versions of porn games, which you also click to win.
It reminds me so much of that famous clip of Hayao Miyazaki saying anime is trash.
Yeah. And to be honest, like Hatoful Boyfriend is the reason why we've seen this giant influx of weird, crazy, harebrained anime visual novels, is because this game got covered by the media, and not to say anything mean about a person that I greatly respect, but people like Danny O'Dwyer put this game on the Let's Play scene and it exploded. Kind of like how Goat Simulator was a critique of the simulator genre, then it exploded, and what happened, Gino? There was like 800 million simulator games on Steam now.
Or
like
or things like Mount Your Friends and Gang Beasts, like these weird kind of difficult to control physicsy things.
You're already seeing all of these shitty player unknown Battlegrounds clones on both Android and iOS, on Steam.
But I think the important distinction is
you don't hold those games against Player Unknown. You don't hold those games against Mount Your Friends. You don't hold those games against anything that gets carbon copied all the time. No. So why are you holding it against Hatoful Boyfriend?
It's a matter of intent. Because Hatoful Boyfriend, and to another extent, Goat Simulator. Well, I don't think Goat Simulator was as much of a critique as Hatoful Boyfriend is very explicitly a critique. It is very explicitly trying to say that this genre should change. There's problems with it. We need to rethink things. And by lampooning it, they actually strengthened the beast they were trying to kill. And it's just, it seems like a failure in that respect. Now, as
say the same about Goat Simulator.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Goat Simulator was as much of a critique as Hatoful Boyfriend is, but I think we've learned from these types of games that irony is dead. That you just can't. If you make a good product that is supposed to be a commentary or lampooning, people will just embrace the things that are shitty about it that you were trying to do ironically, and they will consume it and say this is actually what's good about it. It's like all the people who, when they saw Wall Street and heard the greed is good speech from Gordon Gekko, thought that Gordon Gekko was the hero.
Or people who say that their favorite character from Breaking Bad is Walter White when Walter White is a fucking monster.
Yes, the thesis of some of these shows is that these people are bad. You shouldn't. Yes, they're charismatic, but you need to reject them. And some people are like, no, I want to be Gordon Gekko.
I want to be Walter White. It's like, fuck. It's almost like the serial format inevitably does lead to that misconception or that disconnect between the audience and the intent of the author.
Yes, and I think,
but that's across all mediums. It's not just video games.
Yeah,
Gino.
I know, and it's a shame.
And then also that doesn't mean that Wall Street isn't a good movie.
It doesn't, and I don't think Hatoful Boyfriend is a bad game. I keep saying, I think I like how it's written. I enjoyed what I played of it. Going to the pudding dimension, Oko-san is a terrible character.
No, you don't say that. He's a terribly great character.
I mean, he barely speaks in complete sentences. Like, he's just random all the time for randomness' sake. And then at the end, you find out that he is the reincarnation of Pudding Jesus or something.
Yeah, he's Pudding Jesus.
And then he becomes sentient pudding and then ascends to a higher plane of existence.
Shu gets murdered.
Yeah, there's some awesome stuff. But
like the gang.
But man, I just wish, I don't know, I wish that it had an impact beyond just being a good dating sim. I wish that like the lesson was communicated. But instead we get a very good game that has bred a lot of very poor games following it.
Yeah, I mean, like looking at the current state of the visual novel section of on Steam is a depression factory. It is. I mean, the fact that like the average indie gamer the average indie developer has to pawn out like $5,000 to $6,000 to Steam to get their game published, and then they have to compete along the sides of like Panzerstrike or Paka Plus or any of these fucking dog shit games, and they pour these poor indie developers poured their hearts out of these games, but they are struggling to compete against CC or carbon copied pieces of garbage.
Actual garbage. Yeah,
actual pieces of garbage, or Nekopara, which aren't games. That I mean, some of these games are literally click to see the story.
Click to see the porn.
I know that you have experienced Nekopara, but let me tell you, man, I spared you the lovely privilege of playing anything from Winged Angel, which are the people behind the Sakura franchise, Sakura Angel, Sakura Spirits, the Sakura Clicker. Those people are basically kind of like they're kind of like you remember the parody movies back like 5-6 years ago, like
Scary Movie,
Epic Movie, or movie. Not just Scary Movie, but like those shitty parody movies. That's what the Sakura franchise is. Like they literally carbon copy every single character, has the same goddamn character model with the same bust size, with different colored character sprites, with their skin pigmentation or the color of their clothes, and that is literally all they change. There are 5 poses, yada yada yada. Oh, and Gino, just so you know, in Nekopara Volume 2, they had the distinct common courtesy to add 2 musical tracks to the soundtrack, which is just 4 songs for 1 and 2. But they still play those other 4 songs ad nauseum. So
Great.
The cheapness to this franchise is well known, well documented. And to see Hatoful Boyfriend put a little bit more to just try and point out how dead this this genre is, I greatly appreciated. And like I said, if you are ever up for playing something that's just not like kind of a jokey joke game, like actually playing a good game, I mean, we can play some of the wonderfulness of 5PB.
Well, maybe.
Or we could play Danganronpa.
Maybe if I miss another week, we can do that. But until then, I just want to close up, or maybe we can assign Billy to do this because he's been missing a bunch of time.
Oh, wait. So, Gino.
Yes.
I am your Lord and Savior. I am the man who has blessed you with Hatoful Boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Billy has some homework to do.
That he does. So I'll leave it to you. It so happens that this is recorded on October the 30th. So I'll give you Billy's faith. Shall I give him a treat or shall I give him a trick? Trick his ass. Trick him.
All right, he's going to be playing Bad Rats.
Oh, no. Poor guy. Well, enjoy that.
Yeah, Bad Rats is a good game.
It's a game that's a joke unto itself because you can't give it away.
Yeah, it's 50 cents. Oh, yeah. Were you one of the recipients when I gave away copies of Bad Rats?
You tried, and I wouldn't take it.
Oh, that's right. You didn't take it. That's so... Like, I mean, we have to talk about how... I wanted... God damn it. Okay, so here are some of the tags on Bad Rats' Steam page. Cold War, education, cult classic, dark, violent, comedy, mature, difficult, simulation, replay value, gore, great soundtrack, memes.
Great.
So Bad Rats. Tell Billy he has to play Bad Rats.
Will do.
One more thing, because I will not leave. I believe I told you that I had a special treat for you.
You did.
Should I put this onto stereo? No, I think I'll keep it on corduroy. I have a song for you, Gino.
Okay. And now the musical stylings of Chris. ZombiePie Redacted.
Some birdie once told me the world is gonna rice me. I ain't the sharpest beak in the birdhouse. She was looking kinda dumb with her claw and her talons in the shape of an L on her feather head. Well, the years start coming and they don't start coming. Peck to the rules and I peck to the ground. Didn't make sense not to squawk for fun. Your bird brain got smart, but your head gets dumb. So much to do, so much to see. So what's wrong with taking the birdhouse? You'll never know if you don't fly. You'll never shine if you don't glow. Hey now, you're a bird of prey. Get your game on, go play. Hey now, you're a rock star. Get the show on, get paid. All that glitters is gold. Only shooting hawks break the mold.
Smash Mouth will be suing you shortly.
Yeah, Smash Mouth. If you try to sue me, I will bring deviled eggs into our courthouse.
You can't take what is not there. You cannot get blood from a stone. Don't come for him. There's nothing there.
So Gino, before you close out, what was it? How many years ago was it? Oh, no, not years ago. This is recent. A user asked you to rank all of the horrible games that I've subjected you to. Mm-hmm. On top, if I recall correctly, was Myst. That was your number one game, if I recall.
Yes.
Then it was the 3 Pajama Sams ranked irrespectively.
I think it went 1, then 3, then 2.
Correct. Then it was... I think Jade Empire?
No. Jade Empire would be below Riven.
Riven, then Jade. No, you actually ranked Jade Empire above Riven.
Okay, well, I think I would.
But if you want to change that to Riven, then Jade Empire,
now that I'm
fine.
Now that I'm farther away from playing Riven, I've that game is a thing. It's bad, but it's got charm.
It's better than Jade Empire.
Yep.
So we have Riven, then Jade Empire, and then Mobius Final Fantasy, and then Nekopara.
Yep. Nekopara, the forever bottom.
Where do you rank Hatoful Boyfriend on the 8 games that I've already given you?
Probably 2. Probably goes Mist.
Second place?
Mist, then Hatoful Boyfriend, then the
Hatoful
Pajama
Boyfriend
Sams.
beats Pajama Sam.
Yep. I think it's a better game than those. Like, I don't dislike this game. I just wish that
you
its
dislike
message
the fact
got
that
out.
it failed in its mission.
It had an important mission, and it failed. And that makes me sad. But it's a good game. I recommend playing it. Don't buy the DLC.
Don't buy the DLC. Don't. I mean, like, it's like that at some point, like, you're digging your own grave if you're the developer, and they shouldn't have made that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, again,
Except
I hate the fact that I keep bringing up Nekopara, but Nekopara is selling its soundtrack of 4 tracks for $15, and the games are $10. Don't do that.
That is just like, let's see exactly how much money our fans will give us if we do no work. And it turns out a lot. It turns out a lot of money.
This genre is almost as exploitative as, like, trading card games or Mobius Final Fantasy.
It's pretty bad. So
pretty bad.
I just want to give you an opportunity. What is your favorite ending in Hatoful Boyfriend? Last thing.
Boy, goddamn. Damn. It's a tie between Oko-san.
Ascending into Good in Heaven.
Yeah, that's a good one. And fuck. Damn it. God.
Is it the Sparrow?
Yeah, probably.
So the 2 endings I saw?
No, I mean, the Sparrow is probably my number 3. For me, probably Shu is number 2.
And what happens in that one?
He gets killed.
How does he get killed?
He gets murdered. You have to investigate his murder.
What killed him?
I'm not going to leave. You're going to have to find out.
Oh, nice tease. That's pro podcast.
I don't think you're actually going to be playing this game, are you?
Nope.
No.
But maybe our listeners will. And I think that's where we're going to leave off with our special Hatoful Boyfriend episode. Thank you once again, ZP, for letting me play this fun game. And thank you to our listeners. Remember, you can rate and review the show on iTunes or whatever podcast tool you're using to find this show. And remember, you can get in touch with the show at DeepListensPod, at ThatPinguino on Twitter, deeplistens.libsyn.com, and deeplistenspodcast@gmail.com. So I never ask if you want to plug anything. Do you want to plug anything?
My ego.
Okay, feed his ego.
Feed me. I have a sponsorship.
What?
So the wonderful men and women creating Heinz ketchup remind you that it is the best food additive to add to any dish. Heinz ketchup. It's the workman's sauce.
You're very lucky that if I drop this call, it stops all recording, and so I couldn't hang up on you. You were saved by technical difficulties. Congratulations. Thank you, listeners, for staying with us. Never run an ad again without consulting me. Till next time. Peace!